don't be alarmed. You see four handsome faces in front of you. That's right, guys. This is the Avengers crossover episode. Right now, there are portals opening. Handsome devils are walking through because it is the best time of the year. It is the night before the NFL draft. Welcome to the TOJ Buck the Draft Season Talks podcast. We'll get it together. We'll figure out what the big name for this is. I am your host of Draft Season, D.A. Osario, joined as always by Long Island's finest Michael Meegan, and not as always, but ecstatic to be joined by these two handsome brothers, the host of the TOJ Pod and TOJ Talks, Will Parkinson, and the host of Buck the Trend. Citizens, this is for you. It's a special edition. We brought on Dan, the Nigerian Prince Essen. Dan, I'll start with you. Will, then I'll go to you. And then Meegs will put you as the cherry on top of this cake that we have baked for these fine folks. Dan, how you doing? How you feeling the night before the draft?
It's almost time. I really just want to get it over with. I'm not going to lie. I want to just get through this. I think we've heard all the permutations, heard all the rumors. I feel like we've all mentioned on our podcast, like, as soon as we start getting close, stop listening and you see what's going on. A bunch of rumors. So it's time to get this done. It's time.
Yeah, I don't think we can do another mock draft where we try to figure out who the pass catcher offensive line duo should be for 7 and 42. Will, crazy year for you. Combine. You're giving away a Rolex to a lot of these peasants that can't afford one, including myself. I bought 2 tickets today. How are you feeling? How are you doing? Night before the draft, it's like Christmas.
Yeah, no, I'm feeling good. Meegs said, they're sending me the doomsday scenario that they just draft Jalen Walker, which I would. There's I'm just sitting here like, hey, I'd be happy, but I'm also have a brain and realize they need to go offense. So, I'm feeling good. I think right now it's just kind of it's a weird time period. It's crazy when we have Joe Douglas a compliment here. Joe Douglas was on McShay's show earlier and actually had answered a human question and was like, what are the last 48 hours before the draft like? And he was like, just giving like actual good insight into, he's like, I'm actually pretty surprised a lot of that stuff that gets out there because normally the real stuff doesn't get out because you have deals in principle teams. I referenced on the pod today, Revis. Mike Tannenbaum always tells the famous story. If Revis is on the board, you do good by us. Don't move the pick, don't whatever. Yep. So I think that's basically a PSA of just like a lot of the funny stuff that gets out the last 48 hours is usually pretty intentional.
There you go. And so that means if you see a mock draft tomorrow that somehow shows that the Jets are taking Michael Williams at 7, don't freak out. Okay, do not freak out. There's a reason why that's happening. And well, I love what you mentioned about the human side of these negotiations because we were talking a little bit about this before we came on. And for those that you can't see my name, but it's trade 7 to the Bears hours because I would love to see the Jets trade back to 10 and add an additional pick. And I was telling Meegs and Dan, I would absolutely hate it if Aaron Glenn does not fleece his boy Ben Johnson. If he's like, I'll take 10 and 155 for 7. Like I would be so out on Aaron Glenn. But, that's not going to happen because we're going to take Ben Johnson to the woodshed come tomorrow. Meegs, the night before Christmas, and all was quiet in the house. How are you feeling as we barrel towards the NFL draft? In 24 hours, as we're recording this, we should, start to have an inkling of where we're going with this.
Yeah, I know. We have a podcast tonight. We're going to be live streaming tomorrow, live stream on Friday. I'm sure we'll be doing reaction pods on Saturday. Just the content grind. This is just the beginning. Who the Jets take, I don't know. It could be Warren, could be Membu. If it's not one of them, I think people are probably in for a surprise, which I hope doesn't happen. I feel like it's fairly easy to talk yourselves into either one of those players. Like, I don't think it's a doomsday. If you could get one of them while trading back a couple spots and maybe picking up like a 3rd rounder or an early 4th rounder, would that be sick? Yeah, but we'll see what happens. I just hope the Jets fan base doesn't instill in Darren Muji the Jets GM doesn't lose trades gimmick that we had to pretend was real for Joe Douglas for like a solid 2.5 years. So if we cannot repeat that, that'd be great.
I'm very excited to see what gimmick the Meegs comes out of tomorrow with. But let's get into it. We know what you guys are here for. It's the final first round mock draft. All of us are coming together. The way this is going to work is GM Dan and GM Will are taking the odds pick, so they will be picking 1, 3, 5, 7, and so forth. And Meegs and I are taking the evens pick. So Will and Dan will actually make the Jets pick. We're going to have no trades because Joe didn't give me permission to do that. He said that a 90-minute pod just would not do well the night before the draft, and I tend to believe him. So, Will, Dan, we're going to start with you with probably the most obvious pick in the entire draft. It is the Tennessee Titans, number 1 overall. Who's the guy? Don't keep the people waiting.
Lord, Dan, you take this one. I'll give you the honors.
There's a certain man played at the University of Miami. You see Dalvin wearing the hoodie right now. Special. A magician. I'll let you guys read the scouting report and the draft guide. I won't go word for word. But really, really fun player, Cam Ward. It just makes sense. I think a lot of people tried as much as they could to see any scenarios where this wasn't going to be the pick or the Titans trading out or whatever it may be, but it just doesn't make any sense. They need it filled bad after kind of failing with that first round quarterback pick a couple of years ago.
Yeah, I think the one thing I'll say with this pick is obviously it's been in the cards for a while, right? I think up until a couple of days ago, we saw like, hey, there's people are still looking to potentially, move up. I will say there's more bust potential with Cam Ward than I think people would like to admit. I know you guys have talked a lot about that, but I also think they don't really have a choice here. Yeah, you could say take the best player available, but I don't know, man. Like the Jets fans took over half of Nashville last year, and every away team does it. I don't think ownership's sitting there like, man, like Abdul Carter doesn't, sells jerseys, but he's not selling jerseys. A quarterback is, and we have an offensive head coach. This is why we hired him. We hoped he could get the most. It just, a new GM can take a shot and probably potentially get a second shot if it doesn't go well. So it's the obvious pick, although I do think we've kind of all been like, you kind of talk yourself into Cam because he's really exciting, but there is definitely a little bit of like, hey man, like let's maybe like step into a throw. Like that'd be nice.
Well, and I think with Cam, he's gotten better every year, but you're right. The bust potential is there. But what exactly would the Titans do? Like, are they going to take Abdul 1 and then hopefully they take? I mean, who are they going to take around? Shador probably is who they would take around to. Right. And so I think they telegraphed this from the beginning. They weren't in on any of the quarterbacks. Not Sam Darnold, not Aaron Rodgers, not even Russell Wilson when he got cut. They very much were like, okay, this is who we're going to take. And the point that you make, Will, about a new GM, you kind of have the latitude to do that right now and take this swing. Right? And take this swing. Meegs, you do the honors for our second pick overall, and this is where it kind of starts to get interesting because the Browns, Deshaun Watson may not play a down of football next year. They did trade for Super Bowl champion Kenny Pickett, who has more completions in the Super Bowl than Lamar Jackson, Josh Allen, a lot of these other quarterbacks that have been put ahead of him. I'm just saying, who are the Browns taking at second overall? And let's dive into that.
So for a while, I thought this was going to be Abdul Carter, but it just seems like for the past 2-3 weeks that this has been blowing in one direction. Once Andrew Berry dropped the Shohei comp for Travis Hunter, I was like, okay, yeah, we're done here. So this is Travis Hunter. Some people think he's the best player in the draft. I think he's probably like 2 on my big board. I just value Abdul Carter's position a little bit more, but they're the same level of player for me. I think he's going to play receiver here, which is fun. I don't know if I think he wants to get paid, so I think that's why he wants to play receiver, even though I think I would rather see him at corner because I just think the way he tracks the ball and the way he moves as his own corner is just like Jalen Ramsey, like good. But he's a special football player. The Browns have someone they can sell themselves on, and they have an offensive coach. Like I trust Kevin Stefanski to get the most out of whatever quarterback they get because it's a little like how Deshaun Watson's a little like Zach Wilson in the way where it's like Mike LaFleur could do anything with anyone that wasn't Zach Wilson. Like Kevin Stefanski's been able to do anything with anyone that isn't Deshaun Watson.
That's true. That's fair. And who knows, guys? Maybe Kenny the Jet Pickett becomes the next first-round quarterback that reclaims some talent. He's the next Baker Mayfield. It doesn't end up being Justin Fields. No, that is not going to happen. But, Travis Hunter in Cleveland's not a bad fit. I go back to you guys, Dan and Will, for the Giants at 3, and I feel like this is also another easy pick if the draft exactly plays out this way. But Abdul Carter said it yesterday. He said, I've been told the Giants are taking me, and we're going to have the best pass rush in the league. Dan, you love the guys in the trenches, and then Will, I'll go to you. Is Abdul Carter the pick at 3 for the Giants?
Absolutely. And the funny thing I like about that, particularly Abdul Carter's comment, you think about Kayvon Thibodeau, you think about like a lot of the guys they have in there. Obviously, the interior defensive line, Dexter Lawrence, it's insane.
Mm-hmm.
You're gonna have an incredibly good defensive line, but I do personally just love the idea of Abdul Carter walking into the room and knowing that he's the best player on the defensive line, despite how good everybody else is. Like, okay, Dexter Lawrence, maybe there's an argument to be made there, but I also like the idea of Kayvon Thibodeau wearing the best outfit and just immediately getting mocked by like this dude that's like, oh no, I'm the better player. I'm the better player.
I'm the guy.
It'll be nice for Giants fans to see what a real edge looks like after all these years. But yeah, well, go ahead.
Yeah, no, I think there's a couple of different things here quickly. Obviously, we don't want to spend too much time on the obvious picks, but one, I'd still would be if I'm the Giants listening on calls, because if someone's going to Godfather offer me for a position that I theoretically am at least good enough at, I'd at least listen. I do think this frees up for them to trade Kayvon Thibodeau and use him. Hey, can you package KT in a 3 to move up back into round 1, or a 2 and Kayvon? Like, I don't know. There's just moves to be made if with this opens up, and obviously it's kind of funny. I know obviously you guys. Brian Burns and I'm just Michael Parsons. Brian Burns and Abdul Carter on the same line. There's a lot of similarities, at least in just kind of profile of the player. So, this is an obvious
run defense ain't gonna go Burr. I can tell you that.
Yeah, no. Look, Brian Burns.
2 small edges.
Brian Burns will give you the coolest 8 sacks a year, never more, never less. But no, this is an obvious one. If you're the Giants, you got to be sitting there going like, I think Connor and Joe referenced this. It feels like they have built this team and there's actually a lot of good players in this roster. They just don't really make a lot of sense as a team.
Yeah.
They're missing a quarterback, some offensive linemen. I don't know if they have a good coach. There's like some issues there, but if you start to look at some of the talent that on that roster after you leave, night one, you're going, wow, we got a lot of blue chip guys. We got 21-year-old Malik Neighbors and 20-year-old Abdul Carter and Dexter Lawrence and Brian Burns, and the list goes on. And it's like, why are we bad? So, well, if you don't have a quarterback, you're going to be bad. But anyways.
And that's a great point, because this is now, and granted, Gettleman did it to himself, and the Giants, they're making the choice here, right? Because even if you have questions about Shador, I find it alarming that in the year 2025 of our Lord and Savior, you are passing on a quarterback because you have Russell Wilson and Jameis Winston. Like, again, and that's even if you don't like Shador, even if, again, you don't like him, I would much rather take a swing on a quarterback that's young and maybe gives me a little bit of something than I would banking on Russell Wilson and Jameis Winston. And then whoever you get at the beginning of round 2, or to your point, well, if you use Kayvon and that top pick in the second round to come back up, but you're still getting maybe quarterback 4 in the class, quarterback 3. It's an interesting thing, but I'm glad the Giants are where they are, because my brother's a Giants fan and he deserves all the misery that comes to him for rooting for that godforsaken team. Meegs, you and I are on the clock at number 4, the hated New England Patriots with Mike Vrabel, Drake May, and a whole lot of nothing. Now, this has become a popular landing spot for Ashton Genty in the last week or so. Like, we've kind of seen that in a couple mocks, but I don't believe they're going running back. I also don't believe they're going wide receiver. I think that this is, again, another obvious pick. I think it's Will Campbell from LSU, the tackle. Do you agree with that? Is Will Campbell the pick at 4?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know that it should, but it just, too many people are just keep saying that it is. I think the people reporting today that Drake May knows it's going to be Will Campbell. Like, I think I saw that report today. So I'm like, knock yourselves out, guys. Go for it. Yeah, Will Campbell, I think the draft now is in Dan and Will's hands, because it feels like these first 4 picks, like the first hour of draft coverage where they're going to be milking the clock. We're like, all right, yeah, we know who's going here. We know who's going here. And then once we get to pick 5, we're like, oh, maybe something interesting.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I like Will Campbell, but I also think that the Patriots have so many other holes. And the Patriots are a team that, again, they don't have a number 1 receiver. They have no weapons for Drake May. They do have a gaping hole at left tackle. But I also wonder if they're a team that would be better served by targeting a pass catcher and then coming back to get an offensive lineman in round 2, as opposed to doing it the other way around, which is what they're probably going to end up doing. Dan and Will, pick 5, the Jacksonville Jaguars, Trevor Lawrence, and Brian Thomas, and a whole lot of nothing, realistically on the offensive side of the ball. Which way are you guys leaning? Because I agree with Meegs. I think pick 5 is where the draft really starts. I think that's where you can see maybe some teams come up. I know the Bears there's a lot of talk of the Bears coming up. A lot of talk of the Rams even trying to come up all the way from the 20s all the way up to try and get potentially. I think it's Tyler Warren. I think that's who they probably want to get because they love Brock Bowers. What are you guys thinking for Trevor Lawrence and their big weirdo at head coach who came from Tampa and doesn't know how to say Duval?
Yeah, one thing I'll say is I think Mike Giardi's mentioned this a lot on my other pod is Patriots would love to move back. Like they're like begging someone to come up because I think they know and smartly this is a 3-player like blue chip valuable position draft, and I think they're kind of sitting there like we have a right tackle, so Membu unless we want to move him maybe doesn't make sense. Do we want to take Kelvin Banks at 4? Some would argue maybe that's a potential option. I've tried to like bat that idea around, and Patriots fans have told me I'm so many words slightly autistic. So that was like pleasant. Ashton Genty, maybe, and then it comes back to Will Campbell, where you're like, all right, he's a variable guy. Like makes sense. The one wild card and Breer, Mike, all these different people that cover the Patriots are like the wild card's Jalen Walker that he could have he went in that room and just like wowed Vrabel and kind of a similar player in a lot of ways, like really an edge, but also kind of a linebacker. Who knows? Point being, that would just be the one wild card we could see. That otherwise, I think it's pretty obvious. At least those 4. Dan, the one place I'm struggling with this is, I think this is Banks, Genty, obviously, or Tet. I guess it's Genty. Just I don't know. Schrager's obviously as close to the Rams guys as it gets, and he mocked them Genty, but there was some weird Banks chatter yesterday, and then the Tet stuff also. I feel like this has to be offense, right?
It's got to be offense, yeah. I think, I think tackle would be the responsible pick here. I'm not going to lie. Like, I love Genty, but Genty's not going to do anything for the Jaguars. Like, they need so much help.
Travis Etienne is not a bad player, by the way.
He's not.
Yeah. And him and Tank Bigsby are good together. They complement each other well. To take another back, it's weird. It's weird.
It would be super weird. It's like if you watch the Colts and you notice like what happened with their offense when Jonathan Taylor got hurt and Zach Moss stepped in, and then basically they're like, oh, like nothing changed. Like, yeah, great. We still have Michael Pittman. We still have all these like pretty good receivers. Like, we can still run the exact same offense. Like, I think that would be a very interesting decision for them to go Genty there. So honestly, the Kelvin Banks rumors would make sense for me.
So I will say the one thing I heard about Travis isn't that crazy is like they view him as a day 1 starter at guard, and then would be able to move him to tackle maybe year 2. So like, hey, like he's going to start year 1, and like we could just plug and play him. Let's go Banks, DA. I mean, D.
Okay.
Let's go. I feel like everyone's been mocking Genty or Ted. Like, if we want to, maybe let's go on a limb and we'll go Banks here because I feel like I know where these guys are going to go with pick 6.
Banks at 5. So I will tell you, and Meegs, I think you and I are probably in agreement. If Banks didn't go 5, I think there's a really good chance he goes 6 to the Raiders because
there's a
Miller thing.
couple of Vegas people who think Banks is ahead of Membu on their board.
Yes.
So
yes.
Jeremiah just mocked that now. I've seen a couple Vegas people say that. So now that Banks is out of here, I still want to take Membu because I don't think the Raiders are taking Genty. Like, I think that was a cute, like, Pete Carroll, running backs, ha ha ha. Like, now that Spytek and him are like even making jokes about the press conference, I'm like, oh, okay, these guys know, like they're not doing that. So I think this is Membu.
More from Meegs. I don't know if you guys felt this like way, but there was a report where the Genty was like, "I'd love to be a Raider more than anything," and I was like, "Oh, you're not going 6.
You're not going there. You're not being a Raider.
Yeah.
That's not happening."
Mm-hmm.
I also think the Chip Kelly of it all. Like, if I'm Chip Kelly, I can take Quishon Junkins or Trayvon Henderson at the top of round 2 if they're there, and take the back that I know, and take one of the backs that I'm comfortable with. And again, Junkins or Henderson running behind Membu and Miller is probably better than Genty running behind just Miller. It's probably a better way to do it. So Meegs, we're going Membu. That's what we're going. Membu at 6.
Yeah, and then I think we teed them up to make probably the easiest pick possible for the Jets. So you're welcome, guys.
Yeah. So to recap before we get to the Jets pick, Cam Ward at 1, Travis Hunter 2, Abdul Carter 3. Then you get the 3 straight tackles, which again, I know folks are going to be like, oh, that's crazy. I think that that's actually pretty realistic with Campbell, Banks, and Membu going 4, 5, and 6. Pick 7, guys. If you wanted to take Shamar Stewart here, well, I told them I will cut the feed. I will cut. We will be shutting this down. Joe gets half of a pod. He's not getting a full pod. But who do you guys have at 7 going to the Jets in this very realistic mock that I think we've done?
Is that Jade Barron music?
Oh, is that Jade Barron coming down to cash in Money in the Bank? Oh, man. If we were picking 21, I'd take Barron in a fucking heartbeat. If we were picking 21, I'd take Barron in a fucking heartbeat.
Unfortunately, the Jets are not picking 21.
Exactly. Maybe next year. Maybe next year. We're the Broncos of it all.
Do you think that there's any, like, is there any debate they get up there, and this is the way it shakes out, is there any debate over like 7 at all? Or is it just like, this has been our guy, it's been our guy since November, Mason Graham's here, but I'm not sure Mason Graham had like the best visit with the Jets. We'll see. I don't think that would preclude them from taking him. But it just feels like Warren's the pick, right? Like I don't know. I like, for so many reasons, I feel like it does make more sense short and long term potentially.
100%. I think if it rolls out this way, I think they probably take a couple calls to see if it'd be like a comfortable spot for them to go back a little bit and still get Warren. But I think it's one of those things where it's like, hey, if you love him, just take him. So no one's going to complain about Warren at 7 anywhere in the NFL. So I think it's a home run pick.
So let me pose this question to you guys before we go to pick 8. What is the farthest and I'll ask each of you. So Meegs, I'll start with you and then Dan and Will. What's the furthest you feel comfortable dropping back to where you think you can still take Tyler Warren? Because as you guys were talking, I was like,
13?
Could you go back to 9 if the Saints wanted to come up and get 13? So Miami.
Yeah.
So trading with Miami.
Yeah, which they wouldn't trade with us, you have to be in front of Indy, I think. Yeah.
Okay, so in front of Indy. Okay. Dan, do you agree with that? 13?
I would say 10 is the most comfortable I'd feel.
Okay.
13 would be great, though. That would be outstanding.
Yeah, because you know you're getting an extra 2 there. There's a chance you get a 2026 pick also,
right?
Which again, like, you start to build that war chest. Will, what about you? What's the furthest that you're comfortable that you're like, I feel okay going to here, and thinking that I can still get Warren.
This would be still to get Warren, correct?
To try to get Warren, try to get Warren.
I would say probably. I feel like the most realistic trade partner would be 12.
San Francisco. Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
I'm thinking Dallas. Would Dallas sit there?
Oh, Dallas is 12, right? San Francisco's
11. Dallas because Dallas sitting there going, "Ooh, we didn't really think Genty would get past 6." Like I don't know. You could see Jerry sitting in the room like,
"Let's go get him."
Those thighs, doing some weird stuff and whatever. But no, the only thing I would say with how far I would trade back is, how close is Loveland on their board to Warren, where you go, if we could just get one of these 2, we're happy. And then in that case, I would be like maybe 15. But if Warren's clear 1A, I don't even know if I think 12 or 13, like between 10 and 13, just because I don't think San Francisco is going tight end if they're going to pay Kittle $20 million a year.
Right.
Dallas has Jake Ferguson, who's not special, but like is a good enough player. I don't know if you go there. Yeah, I guess. They're in a weird spot. They're just because you don't want to go back so far where you miss out on every one of the blue chip quote unquote guys. But I also don't love enough all the blue chip guys enough that I really care.
I think that's so. I think that's real. The Loveland of it all, it was my thing too. Like I figured, I think Indianapolis is taking whatever tight end is there. So if Warren happens to fall, I think Indy's going to take him, and if Loveland is there, that's who they're going to take. So I'd say 13 is probably the absolute lowest, but I'd be sweating that for sure, because I would wonder, does Indy try to leapfrog you at 13 to come up and try and take one of the tight ends, right? And then you're left in no man's land almost, kind of like you were in the Will McDonald draft, where you'd hope Mooj and AG don't panic, and at that point you take him. Maybe you take Jalen Walker if he falls there. Although I don't think Jalen Walker is going to be available that far. I think Jalen Walker goes in the top 10, which is now perfect because we're picking 8th Meegs for the Carolina Panthers, the Bryce Young boys, Dave Canales. Who's the pick here at 8? Mason Graham is on the board. Jalen Walker's
So
also on the board.
I think
Tet is
everyone
also
thinks
on the
this.
board.
Yeah, I don't think it's offense. I think it's defense. I think it's defensive line.
Okay.
I've been wanting to put Jalen Walker here like consistently, but
Yeah.
they wanted to sign Milton Williams in free agency. They just got outbid by New England. Like I don't think like he's got shorter arms
$85
than
million
Mason.
they offered him.
Like he's got shorter arms than
Yeah.
Mason Graham does. He's like a little bit of a lighter D tackle, as I know Dan can point to. Like I don't think Mason Graham's measurables or the fact that he didn't test is going to bother Carolina. I just think he's too good of a player to pass. So I think they would go with
I agree
here.
with that. And yeah,
So
I agree with that. And
Jalen
I
Walker's
think the Milton
maybe
Williams
he goes
true.
one pick, maybe he falls, but I think if Mason Graham's on the board, they would take him over Jalen Walker.
Yeah, I agree. And they pair him with Derek Brown, right? They gives the defense an identity doesn't have one. And you can get a receiver for Bryce Young at the top of round 2. You can do that. Like that's
Also,
that's
is Evero really the best DC for Jalen Walker to go to?
Probably not.
Probably not.
That's a really good question. That's a really
Right?
yeah.
Like
That's
not,
You know who is?
Yeah.
Bobby Saleh in San Francisco at 12,
Yeah.
at 11.
Look, obviously, I'm Jalen Walker's like my draft crush this year, whatever.
Yeah.
But he does need to go someone that's just like, hey, dude, like we're gonna put you in different spots on all 3 downs, and like you're gonna be mostly an edge, but in other situations you can move off the ball and whatever. Like, I just feel like everyone's gonna be like, you're an edge, and just like go, and we're like, you're a linebacker, go, and like that's not. That's like very simpleton like way to call defense, but regardless, I just the older school like this is my defense. You run it the way I run it is like not how you're gonna like be successful with a lot of these guys in this class. Jade Barron, we talked about like just not whatever. That's a whole nother discussion we don't have time for. But I actually hope Jalen Walker doesn't end up here if this is the way the board shakes out.
Yeah, well, you guys are on the clock for the Saints right now at 9. They got the news about Derek Carr in the shoulder. He may not play this offseason. He may have to retire. I think was one report that I saw like last week or something like that, which leads me to believe like, what kind of shoulder do you have? Like, what is going on here? Yeah, that's what I think. I think they're trying to leak this stuff out to be like, listen, like we tried with him, it's not working. Chris Olave is like, listen, I got 9 concussions to my name, and I'm healthier than this brother.
This dude has a separated shoulder. They're like, how about you retire?
Yeah. How much do we have to pay out for you to go be a family man? So at 9, who are you guys thinking for the Saints and first year head coach Kellen Moore?
This is I think I know you're gonna go here because this is like my least favorite player that's going to go in round 1, but I kind of feel like this is Michael. He's such a pro. My only reasoning, which I would agree here, is Cam Jordan's not getting any younger. If you wanted Michael to like develop some type of like big edge pass rush moves, Cam Jordan is probably the guy in the league you'd want him to go to him and like Calais and like could he be some blend of that? I just feel like they're going to wait for Garrett Nussmeier next year and like, or like Jackson Dart at the end of round 1 or like they're going to do something weird. The Shador stuff feels too contrived. It was like, I'm not going 3. So who's the next team that needs a quarterback? And it was out of nowhere and it was weird. Again, I would not take Michael here to be clear. But don't you feel like this is a good, him and Shamar are good scheme fits. Like they do make sense.
Phil needs too. Phil needs for that defense. Dan, what do you think? Michael?
Yeah, I think so. I think there's been a lot of Jackson Dart stuff too, but like no. Like I think it's exactly what you said, Will. It's like everyone's gonna dare each other in this first round, and they're just gonna be like, "Are you gonna do it? Are you gonna do it? Are you gonna?" And they're just gonna get to the end of the round, and everyone's like, "Oh no, nobody did it. Oh, look at that." So. I think we're coming back to the mean here of all the quarterback talk that we've had this whole draft cycle. Because I think before the season ended, everyone's like, we might only have like one quarterback in round 1, but then eventually you just talk yourself into it. Yeah. As time goes along, but I think we're all circling back now to like, oh yeah, there's only one first quarterback.
Is this the best spot for him? Like all jokes aside, I know we all don't like love Michael, but this is the best spot for him probably in round 1. I assume generally, right? Like.
So
it's a decent swing. It's a
I wouldn't take him here,
But go ahead.
Because
Go ahead.
I would take
think you're
Jalen
gonna
Walker
say
here.
it's a decent swing, but go ahead, Meeks.
I would take Jalen Walker here because Staley's the DC now. It's not Dennis Allen anymore. And like, do you know how Staley
Say
used
that
Leonard
one more
Floyd?
time.
Brandon Staley is the DC.
Mm-hmm.
So like, now that they have like the way he used Leonard Floyd is how I would use Jalen Walker. Like Dennis Allen loved those big
He would
defensive
look pretty
linemen.
sick.
Yeah, like that's how I would use Jalen Walker.
Yeah.
Because
That's
and like I said, yeah. But if they like Michael, they want the big edge, or like Staley's going to change his defense because it clearly didn't go well in LA with the Chargers. Fair enough. But like, if you're looking for like the actual way where Jalen Walker hits the ceiling, that's kind of the role I see for him.
No, you're right. I just Mickey Loomis just loves slow, like no agility defensive ends.
Plotter, yeah, I know.
He does have a type.
It's Terrell Granderson.
He does have a type. So now we're on the clock at 10 with the Bears. Ben Johnson, Caleb Williams,
right.
DJ Moore.
Da, this is going to take like 2 hours if we keep going. This is Genty. No. Let's just cut it. Like, come on. This is Genty. He's way too good of a player to fall. The Bears want him. They've sure up the offensive line. They can get another defensive lineman in round 2. They got two second rounders. This is Genty.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Keep it simple.
I agree. The easiest spot. That's like the third easiest pick. Will and Dan, you guys are on the clock at 11 with Kyle Shanahan and the 49ers.
I promise we won't go slow the whole time because Miami is a layup to me.
Yeah.
The only two players I think there's multiple guys you could argue here. Like I could make a strong Will Johnson case here or Jahdae Barron just because I think like we've seen a solid team go high with corner. I would not take Walter Nolan here just because I think I'm not sure there's a lot going on up there. This has to be Shamar. At least me. Like he's such a solid, like, can he not be the JFM in that defense with Nick Bosa playing the, like, I'm just going to be freed up now? Like, I don't know. Damn, don't you feel like this is Shamar?
Yes, this would be such a good fit. Like, this is truly like, hey, I had a guy that used to play one role and then I combined it with another guy who played a different role and they were similar, but they couldn't do the same things. This is like, oh, you can just get it with one player now. Yeah. So yeah, I feel like he would be jumping out of the room to get somebody like Shamar.
Their defensive line low-key also sucks outside of Nick Bosa now. So
It took a step back. It took a step back for sure. Well, and I think with the Shamar though, if you were to trust one defensive coordinator in the league to develop him to his potential, it's Bob.
This is what Saleh is actually good at. Not slogans, like defensive line guys that need, like, you're good at this one thing. Like Shamar, like, play at 75% speed instead of 100 because you look like a bull in a china shop. Just, like, maybe slow it down a little bit. Now, what are we at, 12 now?
Yep, so we're at 12. The Cowboys, Meegs. This also feels like a running back, especially with the three tackles going. I'm leaning running back. What are you leaning towards? No?
I think this is Tet.
Okay. Yeah.
Actually, yes.
Because if Ted had gone earlier, I think this would have been a running back spot. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. I think this is
Ted and CeeDee Lamb. I like that.
If you don't like football, playing for the Dallas Cowboys is kind of fun. So I think you can alleviate those concerns. No state income tax. I think Ted's gonna have a good time.
There we go. Ted, CeeDee, Dak Prescott. It's not bad. It's not bad. Dan, Will, you guys get the next AFC East team, the Miami Dolphins. Who are you giving the Zach Wilson-led Dolphins once Tua gets hurt tomorrow? Showing up for
like Able. Is this too early?
For a lot of people, it is not too early.
They're dumb. They're not going to make this one. But like Able kind of makes sense here. Can play all three spots or all five spots really if you want him to at some level. Obviously varying, like, I don't know if I want a left tackle for 17 games, but
right.
Or is this more like, do you think this is more try to go prototypical left tackle? Like, do they take a shot on Simmons? Do they go Connerly? Like, I just kind of feel like they need just like a good player. Like they just need like a 7.5 out of 10, no risk, no like, I don't know. Maybe this is the Barron spot or like Starks or Emanwari. Like, I don't know, but they should go offensive line, right?
They should, but they are historically irresponsible. So I think they probably panic and probably go with the corner.
Yeah, you're
I
probably
think they go
right.
with Barron.
You go
Yeah,
Johnson or Barron?
I I've seen Johnson. I don't know if actually no. I did see one Barron.
Mm-hmm.
Honestly, I think Barron should be the pick, especially
You can move him.
it's not just because of the like testing stuff with Will Johnson that everybody's freaked out about. I think Johnny Barron's he's a baller. I think
Yeah.
he just didn't get a lot of recognition coming into the season, and now it's starting. He's on the rise. So yeah,
Especially if you're
Yeah.
gonna trade Ramsey. Like
Especially if you're going to trade Ramsey.
yeah, I feel like you
Especially.
kind of
Yeah.
need some. Like, I mean, if I was them, and I would trade Tyreek Hill and make Jalen Ramsey a safety, and then draft a corner, so you could like actually have a good football
Yep.
team instead of like a prison yard team with Tyreek Hill. But
The longest yard.
yeah, longest yard with Tyreek Hill hanging babies out of buildings like he's Michael Jackson. But
Good God.
14, this is where the draft gets a little weird.
Yeah. So 14. So 14 is the Colts. And I will tell you, like I think if Tyler Warren fell here, they take him here. I think they take Colston Loveland here at 14. I don't think Colston Loveland goes past 14. I think that the Colts are, and Dan, you kind of alluded to this. They're an interesting team in the sense of like, if you looked at them and they have Michael Pittman, good receiver, wide receiver too. Jonathan Taylor, one of the better running backs in the league. DeForest Buckner, still good defensive tackle. Could you add another defensive tackle to pair with him? Probably not. Could you add a pass rusher? Because this could be where Mike Green goes, maybe, but the off-field stuff make him fall a little bit more. I think for their sake, I think they're going to try to make Anthony Richardson's life easier. And then they take Colston Loveland. They were obsessed with Brock Bowers last year. I think they would love to trade up for Tyler Warren this year. They take the second best tight end in this class in Colston Loveland. And that goes a long way towards figuring out if Anthony Richardson is your guy, because you have Pittman, Josh Downs, and now Colston Loveland. That's not a terrible collection of weapons to be able to figure out if Anthony Richardson's your guy. So now you guys are up, pick 15. And there's still a lot of talent on the board, but I also think, to your point, Will, this is where the weird shit starts to happen. This is where the weird shit starts to happen. So 15 is, do you remember who picks 15 on top here? Atlanta.
This got to be an edge rusher. I did a mock last week and I had them trade with Tampa, which obviously is I would highly doubt happens in real life. Tampa's talked about moving back, so I don't know why they would move up. I feel like this is either, if Atlanta's okay with Mike Green off the field, this is probably Mike Green. I think it's insane Jalen Walker's still available at 15, but I also don't know, like, I can't, I'm like, in my head, like, is Raheem Morris, what's he prioritizing? More of a prototypical edge? They're both undersized in terms of, like, they're both lighter, I should say. They're both 240 something. D, if you're Raheem Morris, like, I would take Jalen Walker, but I know most people probably would take Mike Green just because he's more typical edge. I don't know.
I think it's one of those things where if he gets to that spot and you have Mike Green and you knew Mike Green was like probably the guy you're going to be targeting at that spot if you're going to be looking at edge, and you're like, oh, Jalen Walker's here. I think one of the things is that the type of player he is, a little bit the hybrid situation, the tweener thing, like. If you have a choice of like, hey, I already knew that this guy was going to be a fit versus this other guy who's like, oh, yeah, he's a really good player, but like, I actually have no idea how he's going to fit. Like, unless they've really thought that through, which it's hard to think that, him dropping this far through, to be honest. But like, it's why I feel like they would take Mike Green in that situation.
Yeah.
And that's also the hard part for Jalen Walker is that because of, again, all the question marks, there's not a lot of teams that are going to be like, I'm going to just go ahead and trade assets and move up to try to get
This works perfectly because we do not have the evens, and I'm just going to say this now. I hope when you guys get up to 18 that Jalen Walker goes with Mike McDonald and Seattle, because I can't think, like, this dude turned Roquan from like a sick player to like, oh my God. I'm not saying he's Roquan. I'm just saying, like, anybody.
No, McDonald could do some really exciting things in that Seattle defense.
We'll go Mike Green though, right? Yeah, Mike Green at 15.
So Mike Green at 15. So Meegs, now you and I are on the clock with the Arizona Cardinals and Kyler Murray and those boys. Now I will tell you, and I'm gonna let Meegs make this. Well, I'll make this pick then. I'm very tempted to take Jalen Walker here at 16 with madman Jonathan Gannon, because I think the Cardinals defense doesn't have an identity. I think Jalen Walker would give them an identity. I think he's gotten a bad rap post Super Bowl after the Eagles lost, but he did a lot of really good work with that Eagles defense and their linebackers. I think he did a really good job with them. And I think, to your point, Will, that you made earlier, you want him with a guy that's not going to try to pigeonhole him into being one thing.
Yeah.
And I think Gannon's a guy that won't try to pigeonhole him into being one thing. I think he's going to use him as the identity setter on that defense. So I'm going Jalen Walker at 16. I think this is as far as he falls. But I honestly think that the Saints could take him at 9. The Niners could take him at 11. There's so many spots throughout the second 8, like 8 to 16, where he could go. But this is the absolute lowest that I see him going, because I think when you have – he's not Isaiah Simmons, and I think you and I talked about this before.
Yeah.
Isaiah Simmons was a guy that, like, you didn't know where the hell you were going to play him. I think Jalen Walker, you know where you should play him. I think that because he does so many – Right. I think because he does so many other things well, I think defensive coordinators are like, well, do I want him covering in the flat because his athleticism is really, really strong? Do I want him only rushing the passer? Because, again, like, if I tap into his potential as a pass rusher, he could be a double-digit sack guy. Or do I want him as the leader in the middle of my defense as a middle linebacker, similar to Roquan Smith, like you mentioned? But again, just much more athletic, just in terms of just much more athleticism. But I think Jalen Walker at 16 to the Cardinals for Jonathan Gannon, given this defense and identity, that's the route I'm going to go.
I'll just say one last thing on Jalen Walker, because there's been a lot of Jet stuff tonight. The one thing I was just, again, I do not think he's going to be a Jet. Like, I just, for the 800th time, as much as I would love it in a lot of ways, I don't think it's going to happen. I will say I've referenced this a million times, and just in case the Jets in the 1% chance to draft Jalen Walker when this episode comes out.
Yeah.
I will tell you that it sounded like I watched Georgia from field level this year in person. Every time Jalen Walker hit somebody, it sounded like a gunshot went off.
Yeah.
I'm like, dude, this guy is really
yeah.
What the fuck? What is going on? And this is Georgia Auburn. I'm not talking about Georgia against Fred, I don't know, make up
South Harmon Institute of Technology.
You're not team. It's oh wow, I was dude, I just wanted to get that in there where it's not going to happen, and he'll make some other team happy. That dude plays with a violence that just unfortunately we don't see that much in the NFL and football as much anymore in general. Hopefully it's coming back though.
Fingers crossed.
I feel like
ahead,
sorry. I feel like for those who love Frankie Louvu, it's like if you gave Frankie Louvu super soldier steroids.
A rocket pack.
You gave Frankie Louvu steroids.
Exactly.
Not actual steroids, but melanin steroids, you'd be chilling.
That's right. All right, so guys, you're on the clock at 17 with the Bengals, who found a way to pay Jamar Chase and T. Higgins. They have Chase Brown at running back, but this could be a spot for running back. They could go line and try and protect Joe Burrow. What are you guys thinking for the Cincinnati Bengals? Joe Burrow just had.
Is this a Gray Zabel spot? And you just plug him in a guard and just say hey, dude, go start for 10 years. And this should be also there should be conversations about a corner here. There should be conversations about a lot of different things. I just kind of feel like they have to go offensive line. I don't know. I'm not sure where else they could feasibly. If you're gonna build your team as we're gonna go up 50 a game and we're gonna score 60, this has to be offense, right? D. I don't think it's tackle either. I feel like
interior.
They've basically added every tackle over 6'7" and over 350 pounds to
every single one.
So kind of feel just go guard and call it a day.
Yeah, 100%. It's the smartest thing to do. If you actually have a team, there's a lot of teams that are oh, we're going to boat race with people, and they don't. You actually have a team who can boat race with anyone in the NFL. So, yeah, just shore it up, get Burrow comfortable. You're good.
Yeah. And you could roll the dice with a Ben Morrison at the top of round 2, and in round 2 if you wanted to.
Yeah.
If you felt the medicals were good, you can add a corner there. Meegs, we're on the clock now with the Seattle Seahawks, Mike McDonald, Sam Darnold, JSN, and
this is not a good Seattle board. This is not a good Seattle board.
It has not broken.
All the good players I want to take have been taken. I was hoping that because I wouldn't take him for Seattle, but I think he would work for Cincinnati. Tyler Booker would actually have worked for the Bengals. I do not want to take him here.
Yeah.
This I'm open to anything where it's I feel like the defensive line is the best value, But like they
Yeah.
have corners and they kind of have their front set. They need offensive linemen. So like,
They do.
is this too early for
Is
Donovan
this too
Jackson?
early for? That's what I was going to. You read my mind. This guy. I was just saying. Is it? So I will tell you. I like Donovan Jackson. I think he's a good player. I also think that you're in the part of the first round where, because you guys said this at the beginning, this isn't a heavy blue chip draft. Really, it's all about beauty in the eye of the beholder at this point.
Yeah.
Like if you like a guy, I took Loveland with the Colts. I took him at 14.
Oh yeah,
I took him at 14. And
Loveland's gone. Zabel's gone.
I was gonna say
three
maybe
tackles
Matt,
are gone.
Yeah.
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 I think I have to.
It's not a good board for the Seahawks. But
yeah. I think this is
Okay.
Donovan Jackson. I mean,
Okay, so
like
you
in
take
reality, they
Donovan
would
Jackson
trade
for
out,
the
but we're not
Seahawks?
trading. So if I have to stick here, I'm taking Donovan Jackson. And I feel
Yeah.
fine about it. I think that's a top 25 player in the class for me. Good play.
yeah, and you put him next to Charles Cross, clear the way for Zach Charbonnet and Kenneth Walker. You're good to go. Dan, you and Will are on the clock now for the Tampa Bay Bucks. Our good friend Todd Bowles. What are you giving Toddy, man? What are you giving? Let's be clear. Todd Bowles is the only him and Nick Sirianni are the only coaches in the NFC to go to the playoffs 3 straight years. Okay, just them.
I feel like this can only be 2 guys. I feel like this is Campbell and Ezeraku, right? I guess they go Ezeraku, but I feel like it's one of those. I think Campbell's
Campbell.
Player.
Okay,
I think Campbell's a better player,
Mm-hmm.
but there's a shoulder thing, and Ezeraku, it's like, are you just a pass rush guy? But does Todd Bowles give a shit? Like, I feel like this is Ezeraku probably.
I think so, but it's very high for him though. I don't like the value here. And I know a lot of people. Sorry?
I agree with you. I just
Yes.
I don't know. I just feel like this has to be some type of like somebody that's going to hit the quarterback for Tampa.
100%.
The linebacker play sucks outside of Levante David too.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Should we just go Jahad Campbell then? Because we both think
100%. Yes.
Yeah. So I will tell you, this is better. I think it's better value Campbell at this spot than taking Ezeraku, and I like Ezeraku, but I'm like, the 19 is high. 19 is high.
Someone asked me if he could go 8, and I was like, dude, please no.
Relax.
Please no.
Relax.
Slow it down. Meegs, we are now on the clock at 20 with Sean Payton, Bo Nix, and the Denver Broncos. Bo Nix, who is Tess Johnson's foster brother, in case some folks didn't know, because I love learning that. I loved learning that. Now, this is I think this is a running back spot. Like I really do. Meegs, do you agree with me? Am I off my rocker here, saying running back at 20 or?
So this is either Travion or Amarion Hampton. Which one do you want to take? I'll leave it up to you.
Mm-hmm. Omarion Hampton. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think it could be either.
I think.
I interest you in maybe flipping that the other way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So here's why.
It's a realistic mock. So
yeah. So here's why. So I think the gap between Genty and Hampton is closer than the gap between Hampton and Henderson. And I think Sean Payton's going to think the same. And I think you put Hampton in that
Sean Payton doesn't like.
and the fact
He's a speed merchant, dude.
he doesn't like smaller backs. He is, but he also likes backs that can pass protect, and Omarion Hampton can pass protect. He's not gonna have to come off the field.
you know, I like Hampton a lot.
Yeah.
I just have it. There's a lot of birdies saying it may be
Henderson.
Yeah.
No, and honestly, I think if. Yeah, I think honestly, I think the thing that we can agree on is it's going to be a running back. I don't think they're taking anything else. I think
if they could have moved up for Loveland or Warren or something.
Yeah.
I think at the end of the day, or Genty, obviously, but moving from 20 is tough, man. You got to probably move up twice, and
give up capital from 2026.
And they've actually been picking really well. I don't know if
I
don't know. Like, is it worth it for them here to really to move up to 13 for Loveland? Like, maybe, but I don't know. Can't you get? I don't know.
Can't you take Terrence Ferguson in like round 4
I'm just
and
saying,
just
like
develop
him and
him to be
Evan
your tight
Engram
end?
probably a pretty decent duo for a couple of years, and like you reevaluate in 24
Yeah.
months. But yeah, I think this is running back if it's not
Yeah.
if it's not a trade up for a tight end.
So you guys are now on the clock with the Pittsburgh Steelers. Mike Tomlin, Aaron Rodgers, maybe. And for those tuning in, Shador Sanders is still on the board. I think you can see where we're going with this. So that way there's no surprises tomorrow when it happens. But 21 for the Steelers, there's word they're shopping Jorge Pickens. So could this be a wide receiver spot? Maybe. I don't think so. But, I mean, what do you guys see for the Steelers at 21?
DT? Right? I feel like...
Yep.
Yeah, I feel like outside of Cam Hayward, I don't know if TJ Watt's on this team next year. Like he should be, but like if you're going to trade him, now's the time to do it.
Okay.
Washington, can I interest you in pick 29 for TJ Watt? Help both teams. That would be sick. But no, I feel like this is either like depending on if you like Harmon or Grant or Walter Nolan, like whoever it is. I kind of feel like this is. You get Grant in front of the Chargers, who probably would take Grant at 22. You guys would probably take him at 22. I don't know.
Walter Nolan is such a Steeler.
I think this has to be. I know.
He's such a Steeler.
He looks like one. He looks like one.
For the love of God, take somebody so I can pick my fucking guys.
So that's kind of what I was about to say. Nolan or Harmon are the better fits for that scheme. Based on Mike Tomlin's like weird thing with personality preferences, probably Nolan. Like
yeah,
I think
go Walter Nolan.
Yeah. I feel like Tomlin and Nolan would just stare at each other in the
first
room and just be
conversation
like,
is going to be hilarious. And like Hard Knocks and Walter Nolan's going to be like, ugh.
Well, and that locker room with DK Metcalf, Aaron Rodgers, Walter Nolan, like Mike Tomlin might retire mid-season. Like that might be it for him. Like he's just like, I cannot deal with all this. Meegs, we're on the clock. Harbaugh, Herbert, the Chargers, really good first-round pick last year. They ran the ball a lot, took the ball out of Herbert's hands a lot until it was time for the playoff game where they had to score some points. But you and I still believe in Justin Herbert, like Gotham believed in Harvey Dent. So what are we thinking? Who are we giving the Chargers at 22?
I mean, this is Kenneth Grant, right? Like Harbaugh wants to run the ball, wants to stop the run. This is Kenneth Grant. Like I don't.
If you guys hadn't
think
taken Walter Nolan, I would have taken Walter Nolan here.
Yeah, I just said Harbaugh coached him, like freaky athlete, huge nose tackle. I think it's going to be a fit. Just said Jesse Minter clearly knows how to use him. He was his coordinator for 2 years. Like I just feel very seamless about that fit. Kenneth Grant I think it's going to be a very good player, and Chargers are a perfect place for him to develop.
Future Dolphins head coach Jesse Minter in 12 months.
And then Mike McDaniel can come and be our assistant head coach with Aaron Glenn and Big Tanner. So you guys are now on the clock at 23 with the Green Bay Packers, and there's word that they are interested in George Pickens, but they've been linked to every receiver this offseason. It feels like. Are you giving them a first round wide receiver here? Are you giving Jordan Love some help? Which way are you guys leaning? The board is not broken that great for them, but Emeka Egbuka is on the board, and I think he'd be a really good fit for the
Isn't
Packers.
Matt Golden like the most classic
Packers
receiver where it's like, I don't know why you're doing this, but like you saw a 40 time in the sub 4 threes and just decide to take the player. I also feel like this should be a Will Johnson team.
Could be. Especially if they
that's
trade
my
Jair.
pick.
There's talk of that.
Yeah.
It's just the Jair
that's
thing's weird. Yeah. The Jair things are a little weird too because you lose money by cutting him, but like he's such a nuisance right now that
yes.
It's like almost worth the money, but also you're in a contending window, and when he's right, he's still one of the better players in the league. And it's like, I don't know, that whole situation. Like, I actually don't envy the Packers at all. It's not an easy like, it doesn't help them to cut him, but it also doesn't help them to keep him because he just basically just does whatever the fuck he wants, and he's like an uncontrollable child. So. The fact that he went out for the coin toss the other year that's still one of the craziest things I've ever seen. They're like, why are you on the field?
And he's like, I just wanted to.
Yeah, and it's like, oh, that's a problem.
D,
would you go receiver here? Or are you going Will Johnson? I kind of feel like corner, and then they take a receiver in round 2. They take like the Kyle Williams in round 2, or take a speedster and go for it. I feel like this is more of a Will Johnson spot.
Yeah, I think so. I think it's the responsible decision. It just, just play the cards that are in front of you. I think it's an easy one.
He'd be good with them too. I feel like they.
Yeah.
I don't know. I feel like he's gonna be a good player in the league. I don't know if he's ever gonna be a
Absolutely.
star, but
yes,
24 for Will Johnson. If you told me coming into the year, I'd be like,
yeah.
what happened? And
Yes, something went wrong. Something went wrong. So, Meegs, we are on the clock with the Minnesota Vikings, and this one, in my head, feels easy. But I'm curious to see what you think, and then I'll share with you what I'm thinking.
I think this is Malachi Starks. They are aging at safety.
Yes. Yeah.
They just want a smart player can play center for like Harrison Smith can, we'll have our little swan song, and then Malachi is going to probably take his job by, week 6. But, they want to do some dime packages to get them all on the field, everything like that. I think this is Malachi Starks. I think they're going to trade out of this pick because they only have 4 picks in the draft. I think every draft analyst has said like if a team wants to come up for Darter Shadur, the Vikings are the team to do it with because they just want more picks. Given that they traded like 3 of them for J.J. McCarthy last year to go up 1 spot with the Jets, so shout out to Joe Douglas for that one. But I think this is Malachi Starks. Do you have anyone else you're thinking here?
Emanori. It was a safety. It was either Starks or Emanori here for Brian Flores.
I don't know if Flores wants the all or nothing.
I'm fine either way.
Yeah, I don't know if
That's
Flores.
fair. That's fair.
I could see the NFL liking Emanori, but yeah, I think Flores wants Starks, but that's just me.
Cool. Yeah. So we got Starks. We went Hampton for Denver.
I was gonna say, but like, if he's on the board, could they be like? I know Aaron Jones is there. But, like, could they just be like, hey, JJ, you're going to get, like, 3 years of just, like, insane weapons, and, like, hopefully you're good enough by the end of your rookie deal that, like, when we can't pay one of these guys.
So let me pose you a question, because I like what you're thinking, but let me pose you a different player.
Yeah.
Could they take Ibuka and give JJ Jefferson, Addison, and Ibuka for the next 3 years?
Yeah, I mean,
it's a good problem to have. It's a good problem to have. So
they signed the 800 D tackles, so never mind. I was
right
the D tackle, but
yeah,
they
don't have a lot of holes.
Everybody that was available went to Minnesota. So you guys are on the board at 25 for the. They don't. Yeah. So you guys are on the clock. 25 Houston Texans. They traded Laramie Tunsil to the Commanders, so they have a left tackle hole. This one feels kind of easy.
I think this is easy, but it doesn't seem like it's a popular. Josh Simmons stuff's weird, just because it's like one reports the knee's great, one reports it's shaky, one report is he's too ghetto, then the next report is he doesn't have his motivation problems. It's like there's a lot of weird, like, it's great, it's not great. He could go 11, he could go in round 2. I don't know, but if I'm Houston, like, if I could get potentially the best tackle in the draft and a natural left tackle, the only like real, I mean Connerly too, but I feel like this has got to be Connerly or Simmons. And if I was I'd take a shot on Josh Simmons at 25 and just say like, hey dude, like hopefully we can figure it out. But like, CJ, like hopefully he can kind of like keep you locked in and get you, mentor you a little bit. And D'Amico's probably got to be a good guy to like go to. Houston's weirdly like a good organization. It's weird if you get a rapist out of there, it like kind of helps. So, D, I don't know what you'd like to do here, and I'll defer to you, but I personally would take Josh Simmons here.
Yeah, I'll go Simmons here. Like you said, the Connerly one's close, but yeah, Simmons a lot more natural feel there. And ironically, they're getting somebody like Larry Thompson who had a lot of interesting things happen to him during the pre-draft process. So that'd be kind
of get the gas mask.
Meegs, do you think there's as big of a risk with Simmons as like everyone's kind of viewing? I mean, obviously Ohio State's like near and dear to you. Like, is it?
Clearly. Yeah. I don't know, to be honest with you. Like I was said my mic was cutting out. I was going to pitch him at 16 to the Cardinals for the sole fact that their offensive line coach is now the Cardinals' O-line coach. Like, I just could see it happening. Like, I don't know where he starts or where he ends. I think Houston should do this. I think if he's on the board, they're going to. Otherwise, the Chiefs are going to. I don't know. Like, people keep saying the Niners don't want to take an offensive lineman.
And 11 is possible too, though.
Yeah, so I don't know. Like, he could, like, dude, I think Miami could take him.
Miami
like,
also.
13.
Miami
yeah,
also.
Like,
Miami's
that's where he really like started. Like, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, Houston's
Yeah.
fine.
He has
Arizona's fine.
this
Him
wide
and
range.
Paris as bookend tackles
Yeah.
for Kyler is pretty good. That's where like my brain's going. But
Yeah.
DA for 26. Speaking of Ohio
Yeah, I
State,
agree. So,
this is a Mecca Buka.
Yep.
Sean McVay is going to love
Yes.
Emeka Egbuka. Best blocking receiver in the draft. Doesn't drop passes. Can run routes. Him, Devontae, Puka. That's a really fun trio. We're getting back to 11 personnel. 2017 Rams. We know how it goes. Cool.
Yeah, I like that. I think the Rams are leaving with a playmaker. Yeah, I think the Rams are leaving with a playmaker. I think that all this talk of them trying to get the heir to Stafford, I think is all talk.
Yeah, I was gonna say the only thing I would say is like if they love Dart or
if they love him, this is a good
love
spot
him,
for
this
him.
is the
It's a good
spot. There
for
was a good actually. It was just really cool. It was McCourty, Tannenbaum, and Orlovsky on NFL Live today talking about it. And like Tannenbaum's like from the GM's perspective, like you take the quarterback when you want their success, or not when you need it.
Exactly.
And Jason and Dan were like, "Yeah, dude, but we're trying to win a ring. Like, give me all the weapons you can." It's just like actually a really interesting discussion.
Yeah.
All jokes aside, of like the GM versus a coach versus a player, and like their philosophy on what the draft is for. Like, it's the age-old Rodgers thing. Like, give me a first-round receiver, and they're like, "Yeah, dude, but like you're gonna retire soon, so we need to
Right.
fill your spot." And it's like, whatever. It was an interesting discussion. This one. 27, man.
The Ravens.
This felt like a Shamar spot. Obviously, that's like a natural one. Starks has been a popular one here. I don't know. Is this like the James Pierce spot? Is this Derek Harmon? Like, it feels like D-line. Like the D-line kind of their defense is not so subtly like gotten smoked here. Imanwari maybe like
to replace Marcus Williams, who they lost. Yeah.
Although I don't know if he's really like him and Kyle Hamilton both kind of like to be near. I don't know if I'd want those guys in coverage 80 snaps a game. D, what do you think here? This is a little difficult. Could go O-line too. Could they, like I don't know.
That's where I'm thinking.
Yeah.
Did we take Donovan Jackson already?
Yeah, he went to Seattle.
Did anyone take Tyler Booker?
That's right.
Because this is
because he took all the tackles.
Tyler Booker would go here. I think he actually fits this scheme.
Yeah, Booker.
I would go Booker. They just as good as they've been. It's always been like a sneaky thing that you show up in one game and you see like, oh, they're playing like a 6'2" dude at right tackle. Like what happened?
This also be a Mason Taylor spot, and then if they cut Andrews and they just go Taylor and Likely and then kind of try. I'm not saying I would take him here. I'm just saying like if they're going to move off of Andrews, they've love doing the two tight end stuff. Like Taylor does make sense. He's more of like Arroyo doesn't make sense to me. He's kind of like a redundant skill set to Likely. I feel like you're kind of like
they're the same player. They might as well be twins.
Doesn't make sense. Taylor's going to go in round one. I think he's a better value at like 40 than he is at 25.
Yeah.
But I at least wanted to I think this is where the conversation gets more intense for him, where it's like he's not making it to day two. So I just wonder if it's between now and Philly. It's like one of those teams feels like even the Rams, I guess, theoretically could do it. Like, again, the Ravens are just weird. These teams are like so difficult to pick for because they have holes, but like they also have like a million guys, and you're trying to win a title. So
and they also and they have an MVP quarterback who kind of covers up some of that stuff, right? Because the guy that I was thinking O-line as well, and Meegs is spot on. And Booker fits scheme wise, but could they be a Luther Burden landing spot at the end of round one to put with Zay and Bateman? Like, could that be a spot for him, right? Is it a spot where the Mason Taylor of it all, and then you trade Andrews for a fourth? That's not a bad landing spot for him because they have Lamar. They can take guys a little bit higher because you have Lamar Jackson. But I also think they have a gaping hole at safety. No Marcus Williams. Corner is not as strong as it's been in the last few years.
They lost the league's worst corner.
They did. Brandon Stevens was so bad last year, but the year before he was good. But I'm tired of saying that. But Luther Burden is the sneaky pick that I'm like I could watch that. But I do like Booker going there because I think he fits. And to Dan's point, this way you don't have to move Daniel Falafel from right tackle into guard like they did midway last year. This 6'8" guard that they were rolling out there. I was like, what is going on? Tyler Booker's steady. I think it's a good pick. Meegs, it's us now as we get ready to wrap up the first round of the mock draft. Thank you guys so much for rocking with us. We got 6 more picks. The Detroit Lions, Dan Campbell. What are you thinking, Meegs? They do have
So
a
this is
$39
this is two
million number
players.
3 corner in DJ Reed.
Yeah, this is 2 players for me.
Okay.
I'm not taking James Pierce because Dan Campbell and James Pierce I could just never see. This is either Derek Harmon or Nick Scorton for me. Do you want to go interior? Or you want to go edge?
I'm going to go interior because I really like the potential of Harmon and McNeil on the interior of the defensive line.
Okay.
That's a
Then we're going to go Derek
scary
Harmon.
duo on the inside.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
That's
Derek Harmon
two
goes to the Lions. That's a really good fit, I think. I like it. Will and Dan, you guys are on the clock with the all in Washington Commanders and Jaden Daniels, who turned the district upside down this past season. They traded for Debo. They were trying to trade for Myles Garrett, if you remember, right? They were talked about as a team for that. Will, you mentioned this earlier. They could also be the TJ Watt team,
Yeah,
like if the Steel
Hendrickson team too.
Hendrickson too. So I mean, they're kind of signaling which way, what they're trying to aim for. They want to improve the pass rush in order to be able to put Jalen Hurts on his ass. What are you thinking? Are you guys going defensive line? Are you adding another playmaker to on the offensive side of the ball? Which way are you guys leaning?
This is tough. You could get they need interior, they need help.
They lost Jonathan Allen, right?
Trenches on both sides of the ball.
Yeah.
But you could also tell me that they took a corner or running back, and I'd be like, okay, I get it. This, obviously, based on the way the mock fell, I feel like this is a Hampton team if Henderson goes 20.
That would be a good pick. Hampton on the Commanders would be good.
Team? Is this the Pierce team where Dan Quinn's hey man, I've dealt with a lot of these guys in the past that are smaller edge that I can just I'm gonna put you in a great spot and give you one-on-ones and I don't know why you try to rush with power all the time, but just go for it. I don't know. They're just this one's tough because they do need a lot still. They kind of they did the 4th place schedule amazing quarterback thing a year early. It kind of feels like Houston last year where we're all oh, they'll be back. And it's but the roster isn't that good.
Right.
There's some holes. There's still some holes.
There's
absolutely.
some holes. If Jahad Campbell was still here, I'd be like, hey, he's already way better than Bobby Wagner's corpse is.
R.I.P. Bobby.
My vengeance with Bobby Wagner getting Pro Bowl votes for the last 5 years has been just asinine. That dude accumulates tackles like no one I've ever seen. D, more importantly, who are we picking here? 29. After 2 years, I just instantly started shitting on Bobby Wagner's Pro Bowl votes. They're 12-time All-Pro in a row. I'm like, dude, this guy is one of the 5 worst linebackers in the NFC East right now. What are we doing?
Will's blood feud with Bobby Wagner and Ryan
He's a first-round Hall of Famer. I get it, man. He's amazing. But, we can't even get C.J. Mosley, a Jets Pro Bowl.
Ring of Honor.
And it's Bobby Wagner's in the Rams Ring of Honor. It's
yeah.
F out of here.
Who are you guys thinking? Who are you giving the Commanders here, guys?
Yeah, their leading sack player last year was Dante Fowler. So I mean,
speaking of Dan Quinn edges,
I think I'd go James Pierce for sure.
Yeah, okay.
There's just so much protection on the interior. That's what lets those guys run freely because they're oh, cool. Nobody's paying attention to me. I can do whatever I want on the outside. Try a couple moves, try a couple counters. There's a lot of freedom there. So yeah, it'd be a good.
If he's gonna figure it out, this is a spot. All jokes.
It's a good spot for him.
This is a good spot for him, and the organization seems to have the right DIU down there now. It feels like new stadium, the infrastructure, ownership's changed. I can't tell you how bad of a spot this would have been 5 years ago for him. Dan Snyder and James Pierce Jr. and conversation probably would have been heinous.
The minute Dan Snyder would have invited James Pierce to his boat, it would have been over. It would have been absolutely over.
Weighed 300 pounds.
Yes.
Weeks. Anyways.
Nothing but crab cake. So the next pick is Meegs and I with the Buffalo Bills. And the Bills are in an interesting spot because over the last few years, you've seen them hemorrhage talent on defense. I also don't think Sean McDermott is as good a defensive coach as a lot of people believe. So I lean defense. However, I'm not that enamored with the playmakers around Josh Allen. Having said that, Khalil Shakir did just get paid and caught almost 100 balls. Meegs, is this a Scourton spot? He's still on the board here for the Bills. Do they add more depth? Do they add another pass rush? I know they got Nick's brother Joey, but he was kind of. Is this a Scourton spot? Are you going corner for them as well? Are you going safety? Is this in a minority spot for them? What are you thinking for the Buffalo Bills?
I mean, I don't want to give them any good players, so this is tough. I think I'm going to go Nick Scorton here.
For the Bills. That's why
doesn't like anything for the Bills. Yeah, I think I'm going to go Nick Scorton.
Want to give them anything.
Yeah, exactly. I think I'm going to go with Nick Scorton.
I'll make this pick for the Bills because I want to bury Josh Allen. I'm going to go Nick Scourton. I think
You're not drafting Michael B. Jordan here.
Yeah, no. I think Josh Allen would not be very pleased if we drafted Michael B. Jordan for that. I think Josh Allen is still trying to wrestle with the fact that he just found out his fiance is black. I think I think that's a tough sell for him. I think he didn't know that until recently. But I'm going to go Scourton here. I think the Bills are, again, similar to the Ravens, similar to these teams picking at the end of round one. They're at a point where they're just trying to add talent, and I think they added Bosa to this pass rush because they very clearly saw that they needed to get more guys to get after the quarterback. I think that's exactly what they're going to do. I'm tempted to take a Munari here because I also think they just don't have. They've lost a lot with Hyde and Poyer, like in terms of the safety play. But he doesn't strike me as a McDermott guy. He's not a Jihad sympathizer, so he's not going to go with him there. And like he's just an all or nothing player, and I don't think McDermott would prefer a guy like that. So I think they go Scourton here. I think he goes and gets the pass rusher. So now we have two more picks, guys. The Super Bowl teams in the Super Bowl. You guys have the Chiefs, and then Meegs and I have the Eagles. This would have been a good Josh Simmons spot if he was still available for the Chiefs. I believe that, but he's gone. Is this Josh Connerly? Is this? I mean, it's not a bad spot for him at 31. Honestly, it's not a terrible spot.
I'll pose a counter. This is everyone's mocked him a tackle.
Yep.
Is this not a Tyreek or a Darius Alexander spot? Like, no offense to Chris Jones, he's still amazing. Like, he's not getting any younger.
Yeah.
They kind of got beat up a little bit. Like, and then this would free Chris Jones up to like be one-on-one more often. The rest of that room's pretty good, but like no more Amenahu. Like, actually, I don't know.
That's not a bad point.
Everyone's kind of going receiver, tight end. Obviously, offensive line's been the popular pick. I wonder if is this a Marion Lott pick where it's like, hey, Chris Jones is going to just eat blocks and like you're going to.
We need you to go crazy.
Your hands can just go crazy in one-on-one. Like, the Chiefs sometimes sometimes they just pick what everyone assumes, and there's other times where you're like, what? Like we drafted 7 straight defensive guys in a draft, and they hit on like 6 of the 7 guys, and they won back-to-back titles. So like,
yeah.
I just wonder, like, that defense kind of got beat up a little bit last year, and it felt like they weren't the same group. I wonder if they're like, hey, let's get a little more talent in there, and then we'll add, I don't know. They technically have 2 tackles right now.
Right, technically.
I don't know. Yeah, man, am I crazy? Like, I know this is probably Connerly, and that's probably the right pick, but Alexander, Marion Lott, and Tyreek, like, dude, yeah. Tyreek next to Chris Jones would be disgusting.
Yeah.
Yes. I would like the. Honestly, they both fit really well. I do like Darius Alexander more than I thought I would.
Yeah, he's one of my favorite players. He's one of my favorite players in the class. Yeah.
Dallas at 44. There was some, one of the Slick Rick things was like they really wanted him at 44. I was like, okay.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I think you're right there. I think Tyreek would be the better pick there. I think the one thing that would just make me laugh, and we can completely just lock in that Tyreek thing. It's not going to happen, but it made me laugh when I thought about it, and I'm glad that no one has projected anything of that. But Matt Golden, if that was anywhere near them, I would bring out the Succession meme.
You are not serious, people.
Are you a sicko? Andy Reid, are you a sicko? They've drafted that player like 2-3
Three
years in a
times.
row. It's
Three times, yeah.
it's incredible.
Please draft like Trey Harris at 31. Like I dare you. Please do it.
Yeah. Well, so it's funny you mentioned Trey Harris, and I'm not super high on him, but the Chiefs have a tendency to zig when everybody else zags, and so Matthew Golden is a guy that like I could see them taking him. I absolutely can, because it's funny, they got the shit kicked out of them in the Super Bowl. And every time they've gotten the shit kicked out of them, they overcorrect, like in one direction, right? So when they got beat up by the Bucks, it was no, we're going to put all this money behind the offensive line. Okay. Then when they got when they got beat up, when they invested in all the defensive guys, to your point, Will, they started like again, they just flooded with Karlaftis and all the and McDuffie and all these guys, right? So now you got the shit kicked out of you, and I can see them saying, "What we need is more speed." We need is just more speed, and that's something that like I'd look at them, I'd be like, "You got." I would use the succession meme too, but mine would be, "You are not serious fucking people. Like you are not serious fucking people here." I like Darius Alexander a lot, but I think this is a Tyreek spot because he just fits really well next to Chris Jones.
Just like I just feel like they need to get back. They need to get back to. I talked about it all year, and again, I know we're like going way over here, but I talked about it all year with them. They're at their best when they run the football. They play elite defense, and Mahomes picks you apart in the fourth quarter. They're actually not at their best when they throw the ball 55.
They're not boat racing. That's not them.
They're not good enough at everything else to do that. Yeah. And they used to be when Mahomes was 24 and Tyreek was 25 years old and
Kelsey was 25.
Kelsey was 25, and like the O-line was really good and whatever. Yeah. It's like I don't think that's actually what makes them good anymore. I think that
I agree.
Mahomes being amazing on third and fourth down, and he's not amazing on every down, but like he's amazing on third and fourth down. The defense gives up no points. They cause you to make mistakes, and then they run the football really well situationally. And like I don't really feel like they did that at all in the Super Bowl. Like they didn't even try. And at least to me, like Tyreek next to Chris Jones, now Karlaftis is one-on-one all the time. Mm-hmm. You're like your defense gets back to like the Nick Boltons of the like. There's just I don't know. I just feel like they got to be a little, maybe like don't zag this time. Maybe like just maybe just like you have a need. Chris Jones is 30 years old. I don't know if you want Chris Jones playing 80 snaps a game, like getting double teamed. Then Tyreek is. I think you guys describe him as like a ball of butcher knives for hands. Like maybe that's just like the smart normal pick as opposed to. Golden would be fun and everyone would freak out, and then Mahomes will get sacked in week 4 and everyone's gonna be like, why? Like what happened here? And it's like I don't know, another Chiefs player got arrested and like the whole it's just I don't know.
Somebody else ran somebody over.
Somebody else like killed a cat and like I don't know. So to me, I'd like to see them do the smart thing. Actually, I would like to see them do the smart thing. Please draft Matt Golden. I take that back.
I agree. So now I have the last pick with the Philadelphia Eagles, the defending Super Bowl champions. And let me tell you, they lost Milton Bradley Williams. So this is where I really like Darius Alexander at 32. This is just a really good landing spot for him. He is going to get to go crazy next to the murderer Jalen Carter. He's going to go crazy. However, I will posit that I considered taking Luther Burden at 32 to pair with A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith. Because if there's some offensive coach that will figure out a way to get Luther Burden to catch 100 balls, it's going to be Nick Sirianni and those guys, right? But I think the easy pick is Darius Alexander. He fits a need. To your point, Will, about not zigging when you're zagging, the Eagles have done a really good job of just we see a player, we like a player, we're going to take a player. Darius Alexander fits into the Milton Williams role. And the Eagles defense just, again, continues humming along. They'll be the favorites to repeat next year, I think, just because they're 1 through 53, they're probably the best team in football.
This would be the only other guys I would say that come to mind. I do feel like receiver here has to be on the board because I don't know how much longer AJ is going to – it feels like that's got maybe –
How much longer they're going to put up with him reading on the sidelines? Yeah.
He gets a year, and then he goes and joins Vrabel and whatever in New England.
Yeah.
Mason Taylor, I mentioned before this also, if they trade Goddard. They don't really have anything else that like gives you any – part of what the Eagles offense I feel like scares you is like every level of the field and every position scares you at some level. And like, again, I don't look Mason Taylor. I think most people think he's a fringe first round, second round guy. Like Mike Renner has him as like the 115th best player on his board. Like he's not a
That's
fan
low.
of Mason Taylor at all.
Yeah.
This is like he's fine. So like there's a wide range here, but I could see Philly being like, hey, we'll get 5 years of like cost controlled money. And because remember, pick 32 is very different than pick 7. Like Will Warren will be a pretty well compensated tight end. Mason Taylor will not be. I like that selection. Like just keep getting better at what you're good at.
That's
Is
it.
this Jackson Dart, Jalen Hurts? Do they little finger Jalen Hurts for Jackson Dart?
Imagine you Joe Flacco, Jalen Hurts after he won you a Super Bowl. What is happening? What is happening? Guys, thank you so much for joining Dan, Will, myself, Meegs for 75%. He still gets some credit for the group project, though, because he was here for 75% of it. So he gets credit for that. Thank you guys so much for rocking with us. We will see you later. This will drop tomorrow, if I'm not mistaken. So this will draft on draft day. And then we will all see you guys at the Badlands YouTube live stream for round 1. Stick with us for all the content. We'll have reaction pods over the weekend. Buck the Trend, TOJ Talks, the other guys. I think a TOJ Live is coming on Sunday to recap the weekend. Everything will be there. Everything will be there. Thank you so much for tuning in to the Badlands Draft Season Super Pod with Dan, Will, Meegs, and myself. And we will see you guys next week. Now, we need Meegs to be here to stop the recording.